Good morning, Nigeria. Welcome to the Morning Brief. I'm Kayode Okikulu. It's a brand new week, so let's bring you the top stories that will shape the news today. It's a big political week. Yes, the governors of Kano and Lagos State will know their fate at the Supreme Court. But we begin with what you may call the first major test of a Tinubu government's transparency and accountability resolve. Now, after a series of back and forth over allegations of financial misappropriation and diversion of public funds into private account against the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Dr. Betta Edu, the president has ordered a probe with a vow that any breach or infraction identified will be decisively punished. Well, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, who disclosed this in a statement on Sunday, acknowledged the uproar over that development both on and off social media, saying that the government is determined to unravel the truth. Well, this is part of what the statement says, according to the minister. It says the federal government, under the leadership of President Bola Tinubu, is transparent and accountable to the people and committed to ensuring that public funds are allocated and utilized effectively and efficiently to address the needs of Nigerians. Now, there's a backstory, a whole backstory to what is playing out right now. This controversy actually blew up after a leaked letter signed by the Humanitarian Minister, which instructed the Accountant General of the Federation, Oluwatoyin Madei, to transfer the sum of 585 million naira to a certain account, the account of one Oniyelu Bridget, as a grant for vulnerable groups in 4 states. However, the Accountant General explained that although her office actually received that request from the Humanitarian Ministry to make those payments, her office did not act on them. The minister, however, in her reaction, said that there were plans to tarnish her image, adding that government funds won't be embezzled during her tenure, perhaps as some sort of reference to her predecessor, Sadiya Farouk, who's been invited by the EFCC over alleged 37 billion naira as laundering during her tenure as a minister under the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari. It's a whole backstory, really, because there have been series of calls for her resignation now, but the Minister of Information says that Nigerians should await the outcome of that investigation, which he says will be made public. So, what does the law say about such payments? Do stay with us for more on this developing story. Now, moving on, more details of the possible motivation behind the Christmas Eve carnage in Plateau State has been revealed by Governor Caleb Mutfwang, who is explaining that those attacks were well coordinated and orchestrated to deliberately cause disaffection among the people in the state. Well, he agrees with former Speaker Yakubu Dogara, who paid him a visit, that lack of punishment for previous attacks emboldened the attackers. Take a listen.
It's a deliberate, orchestrated plan to cause mayhem with the sole aim of discomfiting us. But I want to thank God. I think I can, with all boldness, say that I see a desire for a shift with the current president.
Now, for the former speaker, President Bola Tinubu must locate the perpetrators and the sponsor of that Christmas Eve attacks, and by extension, other terrorist attacks across the nation, and deal with them. Mr. Yakubu Dogara was speaking during that visit to Governor Caleb Mutfwang.
Wherever these people are and their sponsors, they must be located. And then after they have been located, the commander-in-chief will either have to take justice to them or bring them to justice. But the failure to take justice to them or bring them to justice has always been the bane of the fight against terrorism and violence in Nigeria, because it emboldened them.
A coalition of Plateau State indigenous youths and ethnic nationalities is calling the attention of the federal government to establish a special inquiry and investigate that Christmas Eve attacks. So the youths are also demanding adequate and prompt response to some dark spots, which they say have been identified as terrorist camp that have not been given attention by the security agencies.
We are also calling for a flush-out operation of all the bandits and the terrorist elements that have been brought into the state and are ravaging our villages and communities, particularly those that have been housed or hosted in Mahanga, in Riom local government, as well as FAS. These are settlements that were forcefully taken over by the bandits and are currently under the occupation of same. We are also calling for the flush-out operation to be carried out in Were Hills, in Rob District, Josho, in Bokos, and also Ganandaji in Mushiri, all in Bokos area, because these are become terrorist dens.
Finding a lasting solution.
Well, it's like an unending episode in River State as the FCT Minister, Mr. Nyesom Wike, is accusing Governor Siminalayi Fubara of scheming to remove the Speaker of the River State House of Assembly, Martins Amiwole. Well, it was during a New Year luncheon at his residence in Port Harcourt, River State capital, where he vowed that the move will be fiercely resisted. He also promised to abide by the terms and conditions which signed in the presidential peace intervention, saying that he will not disobey the president. Take a listen.
Why this matter got to this level? When people go and plot to the removal of Speaker, and you think we'll fold our hands, you remove Speaker, we'll start with you first. We'll start with you first. You want to humiliate trouble about people? You want to humiliate us to remove Speaker? Now so, after the fight, now, you go take a first.
Meanwhile, two former governors from that G5 group, you recall G5 during the elections, right? Well, we had Mr. Samuel Otto Manifayu-Gwayi, who were present at the event. Although they failed to win senatorial seats, which they contested for, former Governor Otom says that G5 has no regret for supporting President Bola Tinubu in the last poll and promised to back him again for a second term in office. But recall that Mr. Otom had, during the campaigns, actually declared support for the Labour Party presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obi. But hey, here's what he said.
With all of us supporting the administration, President Bola Tinubu, we shall get to that level in Jesus' name. I want all of us to support, irrespective of our party affiliation. Let us work, because Nigeria cannot exist when we have no Nigeria.
Well, yet another issue that has been top on the news. Chairman of Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, has been speaking on the recent visit of officials of the EFCC, that's Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, to his company, saying that no accusation of wrongdoing has been made against the arm within, or any arm within the group of companies. Given further details, he says that EFCC officials visited the Dangote Group headquarters in Lagos to gather information of foreign exchange allocated to it by the CBN, that's from 2014 to date, and assured the groups, or the general public, of the group's commitment to the agency's investigations. Now, according to Mr. Dangote, similar letters were sent to 51 other groups of companies requesting for same information spanning the same period. Now, he says that Dangote Group is a key contributor to the national GDP, the largest employer in the private sector, one of the largest groups listed on the Nigerian exchange, and one of the highest taxpayers in the country. We continue to follow that story, by the way. Well, let's move on now. A report comparing the prices of PMS, which we all know as petrol in Nigeria, in various countries, has ranked Nigeria as the 22nd on the list of countries with the least expensive petrol prices. The report, titled Gasoline Prices Octane 95, dated early in the month, revealed that the average price of petrol around the world is $1.30 per litre. Well, Nigeria's average petrol price stands at just less than $1, about 660 naira as of 2024. And top of the ranking was Iran, with an average gasoline price of 29 cents, closely followed by Libya as the African country with the least expensive petrol price, occupying the second spot at 31 cents, and Venezuela occupying the third spot. This is, of course, going to generate a lot of debate. Well, let's move to the entertainment scene now. Nollywood filmmaker Funke Akindele is getting all of the accolades, and the reason for that is simple. Her movie, about a single mother who was able to bring together 5 children from different fathers, titled A Tribe Called Judah, has become the first movie in the Nigerian Nollywood history to cross the ₦1 billion mark in the cinema. So congratulatory messages have been rolling in, pouring in from the president to the Lagos State governor, top politicians, captains of industry, and her colleagues in Nollywood, as well as her fans. Now, we'll like to take a listen to how she describes the effort that produced the critically acclaimed movie.
Tired of this generational curse.
Anoint my children with the blood of Jesus.
We are not cursed.
It's been a long time coming for Funke Akindele to hit the record ₦1 billion mark in Nigerian box office. Her 2021 movie, Omogeto the Saga, earned 636 million naira to become the highest grossing movie in 2022. The follow-up movie, Battle on Boca Street, raked in 668 million naira in 2023 before A Tribe Called Judah now crosses the ₦1 billion mark and is still counting. This means she holds credits for the top 3 highest grossing movies in Nigerian box office, and she feels good about it.
I'm taking it in. For the first time, I broke the record, the highest grossing to beat 1 billion in Nigeria. It's huge. I feel good about it.
On this record-shattering project, she wore many hats, including production designer, head writer, original story writer, lead character, and co-director alongside Adeoluwa Owu.
When Mama started saying, "How are you?" before she started coming, Mama.
Yeah, a lot of effort went into that. You can catch all of that story on our YouTube page as Channels TV. Outside Nigeria now, Bangladesh's Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has won re-election for a record 5th time after a boycott led by an opposition party, which she called a terrorist organization. Well, Hasina has presided over breakneck economic growth in a country which was once beset by grinding poverty, but her government has been accused of rampant human rights abuses and a ruthless opposition crackdown. Well, the opposition Bangladesh Nationalist Party, whose ranks have been decimated by mass arrests, called a general strike and, along with dozens of others, refused to participate in what it called that sham election. And now sports, heartbreaking scenes yesterday as Liverpool staged a late show to stun Arsenal in FA Cup 3rd round, effectively knocking out the Gunners out of that competition. Well, Jurgen Klopp's men rode their luck for long spells as Arsenal wasted a series of chances to take the lead at the Emirates Stadium. Well, Liverpool survived an Arsenal barrage of attacks to seal that place in the FA Cup 4th round in a dramatic fashion as 2 late goals secured a gritted 2-0 win on Sunday. Yes, heartbreaking scenes. Not the perfect way to actually start the year for fans of Arsenal, but hey, as they say, we move. So those are your top stories at this hour. These are the stories that will form a major talking point during the day. Guys, beautiful morning to you.
Beautiful morning to you, Coyote. Good morning.
It looks like a sober Monday.
Yeah, it cannot be sober. It's a Monday. So there's a guy that used to say, wake up, wake up, wake up. So we have all woken up. And good morning to everyone right here. It's the morning brief. I'm Jeffrey Uzanga.
Yes, things are bound to pick up, as time goes on. So good morning and welcome. It's been a long weekend, but we are back and glad to be back. I am Bukola Koka.
Absolutely. There's a lot to talk about from your stories, but
I wonder what stands out for you guys.
For me, I think it's a story that has to do with the humanitarian minister, especially what you highlighted, because when you look at what they call the federal government financial regulations, it's quite clear that you can't put your personal money in the federal government's account or put the federal government's money in your account. The law suspects that if you do that, there's an intention to commit fraud. I think Chapter 7, the 713th provision of that law. So one of the questions I was asking, just open-minded question, is it that she's ignorant of the law, or is just inexperience or intention to commit fraud as the law suspect? But one analyst said it's also a question of impunity. So I don't know what Nigerians think. We've been reading a lot of things. Some people have even called for a resignation. But this move by the federal government to respond adequately to say, look, we're going to unravel this as much as possible is what we're looking out for, to ensure that, look, they get to the end of this matter to see exactly, because there's a lot going on in the humanitarian ministry.
Absolutely.
And when you talk to the minister, if you one of the things I said to her, look, your ministry is not a revenue-generating ministry. So you can see how Nigerians are quite curious to know what is going on. We bring money, we put there and say distribute. So people really want to know how you're spending this money or how the ministry is spending this money, because you're not generating, you're spending. So you can see why the focus is on that ministry. So Nigerians are asking questions. It's our commonwealth, which is why we're asking these questions.
Well, that will be with the assumption that indeed, she ordered that the monies be transferred into that private account, because the minister has come out to say, hey, I'm innocent, and this is a move to tarnish my image. So let's wait for the outcome of that investigation. Perhaps there will be forensics as well to show that indeed she signed that document.
No, she has not denied. In fact, she didn't deny.
But she said it's an intention to tarnish her image.
Two stories, I think. She didn't deny. This is the interesting part of this.
Whoever is accused is innocent until proven guilty.
No, she didn't. The point is that she didn't deny that she signed the document. You can actually see that the document was addressed to the office of the Accountant General of the Federation. The challenge is that you cannot send the federal government's money or public money. That's the big challenge. Why did you say they should pay it into someone's private account as against the provision of the financial regulation? That's where the challenge. So she hasn't said, I didn't send the document to the office of the Accountant General. The Accountant General said, we received this document, but we didn't honor it. So that's where the challenge is at the end of the day. So people are extending the question, why do you want to transfer it to a private account? What happens to electronic is it transfer now?
Yeah.
And so all of that question. So
this is a trail, guys.
There are two contrasting things for me. Why would she say, hey, I'm innocent? And at the same time, she hasn't denied that.
Which is why we raise the question of, is it inexperience, bureaucratic naivety, or just intention to commit fraud or impunity? There is a layer of issues.
So guys, just to quickly add, I mean, when you go to court, you either plead guilty or not guilty. So hey, you have the option. You can say I'm innocent or otherwise. And yes, this is not to say she's guilty or what have you right now, but this is what we have. There are facts on ground. So we know, by the way, we need to investigate what is it with the humanitarian ministry, really?
Exactly.
Because during the previous administration, even when the funds were handled by the former vice president, it was very controversial. But this is what happened. So the head of the social safety department
investment program
was removed and replaced and then investigated. Suspended, right, and replaced. And we heard that the EFCC was going to question the former humanitarian affairs minister, who, by the way, has not been able to answer to that invite by the EFCC. So the minister, the current minister, put out a statement, in fact, retweeted a particular news report that talked about how she stood for truth, how she exposed the fraud that was going on. And it was afterwards that we now started hearing the details, or we got that leak of the document that was said to be signed by her. So this is what we know. Her spokesperson came out with a statement. The statement was credited to him, saying, yes, the minister actually gave that order, but it's actually conventional to have someone who is in charge of the accounts get the money to manage the money. So to that extent, that was confirmed, according to the statement credited to her spokesperson. And then we had the accountants general putting out a statement saying, yes, they got that request, or she got that request to disperse the money, but did not disburse that money.
Because it is not the responsibility of the Accountant General's office to disburse monies of MDAs. They send it to the MDAs who do the disbursement. Because, sorry for cutting you, because I'm trying to tailor from what she said. The minister is saying, it's because I refuse to compromise, because there was a movement of some monies, about 44 billion, that's another story for another day. And say, because I refuse to compromise, that's why it looked like corruption fighting corruption, or corruption fighting back. That's the way it's put. So that is where this originated from, which is why she's saying nobody can tarnish my image.
So it's important to establish that the document which has been leaked, again, there's another backstory, people saying documents should not be leaked. Others saying, well, if you're talking transparency and accountability, we should know what is going on with our monies anyway. And I know that there is a law in public service and, in fact, punishment for leaking documents. But she has not refuted that she signed that document. The Accountant General even corroborated and said that
she
we got
received
that request
that document,
and we did not follow up with it because it doesn't go with this.
But would like to hear the Accountant General also say that indeed she got that request from the presiding minister of that ministry. She got express instructions from the presiding minister of that ministry.
Yeah,
well, yes, you could say that, the document couldn't have come to the Accountant General without the express instruction of the minister of that ministry. But then we need, everything to be cut and dried, to be exact, such that we can now apportion blame. But in my own view, all the ministries are they represent the executive arm, and when things like this, leak, when they come out, they need to be investigated thoroughly. And it's reminiscent of what we also hear from the Ministry of Trade and Industry and Investment, where over 1 billion naira was allocated for travels, and we haven't heard, how far that has gone. So, but where monies are allocated, we need accountability, and this administration has stood for accountability. Has
made the pronouncement. So this is the first test. And to answer the question, the statement of the Accountant General, which was released over the weekend by Director of Press Bawa Mokwa, actually said that the AGF explained that although her office received the said request from the ministry,
the minister
it is clear that that request was sent, that this is a statement from the ministry, but it said it did not carry out the payment. So these are facts that we know. So, again, nobody is saying you're guilty. Yes, there have been calls for her resignation, but these are the facts that we know, and we can follow that.
My point is, it must be carried out, investigations must be carried out thoroughly and be determined so that we know who's guilty or not. But if they say that they're going to make, reports of investigation public, then they should make it public. 3 months down the line, government officials shouldn't develop selective amnesia or amnesia such that the issues will be forgotten.
Yeah, what I wanted to add, like what Kayode has said, is clear. Everybody in communication has admitted, I sent the letter, I received the letter. The challenge is the contest over financial regulation. Why did you breach financial regulation? 713 chapter 7 of that regulation says, personal money shall in no circumstances be paid into a government bank account, nor shall any public money be paid into a private account. An officer who pays public money into a private account is deemed to have done so with a fraudulent intention. This is the crux of the matter. Why did you pay them? Why did you mandate the payment of that money? That is what they are trying to investigate.
And why did your aide in that statement credited to him back that, saying that it's conventional, since this is a person handling that?
So if it's conventional, then we must look at other ministries as well.
Actually, the truth is that 3 ministries are being investigated, and the money is about 150 billion. So let's not even go there.
Well, speaking of stories that stood out, is a story about how Nigeria's petrol is the cheapest when compared with other countries of the world. That's mischievous.
Why did I suspect that? Because I will go there. I just
because it's what affects Nigerians, gentlemen. It's a bit misleading. If you look at these other countries, look at other factors, other ramifications of national life, i.e. housing, i.e. bills, i.e. Opportunities for career improvement, taxes. Look at every other thing. Are they available? As against how much they're able, that they require to pay for petrol. Then what are the alternatives to petrol in those countries?
This report is strictly about petrol prices.
Are the areas
we can do housing reports. We can do reports about wages. I mean, that's why you do reports about GDP and all of that. But this is strictly
would you like to buy petrol for 1,000 naira per liter?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that this report is strict. I'm not saying it is contextual or otherwise, but I'm saying this report is about petrol prices, and it says that when we buy petrol,
stop breaking your head.
Such stories will give the NNPC the go-ahead to adjust the pump price of fuel.
She feels that it is actually suspect. Why are you comparing us with? Are you trying to say what we are trying to think you're trying to say without trying to say what you want to say?
I see. But this report was not released by the NNPCL.
It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be.
So the typical Nigerian, you're always walking
petrol was 145 naira per litre, the narrative was always, look, it's the cheapest of all the African countries and of all, of a number of countries around the world. But the issue is, what are the other aspects of development in those countries as against Nigeria? And we can go to health, we can go to education, we can go to infrastructure, power, and those issues still leave much to be desired in Nigeria as against other countries of the world.
Well, I know that this debate is really never ending, but I just want to say that it's strictly about petrol prices.
Thank you for that reminder. Can we move on?
Absolutely.
What's it up for you, Kadi?
So Funke Akindele's movie, and I'm relating that to the Golden Globes Awards, which just ended. And I'm looking forward to that time where we can have our movies there as well. Yes, Funke Akindele is doing great, shattering that record, fantastic stuff. But I look forward to us even shattering the glass ceiling farther. So essentially, I'm happy for Funke Akindele. I'm happy for the cast, the crew, and even other movies in the box office or other streaming movies. We'll give you maybe some snippets of what went down at the Golden Globes Awards. A big one, yes, that's usually the big ones, and we had all of the big movies of the previous year, really smashing those awards. But I look forward to our movies, Nollywood really getting that recognition that it truly deserves. So guys in Nollywood, do not give up. Keep at it. Don't worry.
Well, congratulations to all of them.
Absolutely.
Everybody, look, that industry needs special recognition every other day.
Yeah, doing the yeoman's job.
They build from ground zero. And to see this hit 1 billion in our cinemas, no. That means there are big things to come. So congratulations to Funke Akindele and the entire crew. We are super proud of you. It's amazing to see this kind of record, because at the end, the reason, when Dario was here, I was asking about the numbers. The PwC had actually said in 2021 that the industry contributed over 2% to our GDP, and put those numbers in specifics, over $600 million. If you put it in our currency, as at then it was about 200 or 300 billion. Now, what happens with this movie is the fact that if Funke Akindele wants to shoot another movie, because if you, depending on one side of the bed, Naira wakes up, this should be about over $1 million at the end of the day. Now, if she goes to the bank or go to any investors to say, give me a certain amount of money, I'm able to gross this, they will be able to listen because they can see the numbers if you follow the numbers, because that's what investors are looking for. If I put my money in, will I get my money back? The volatility, look, Hollywood movies have failed. Any movie can fail, but this is our success story. Funke, it's not your success story, it's our success story. We own this story with you. We know you are the lead in this, but this is our story. So this is important for investors to see, okay, so Nigerian cinemas, this is why we're talking about distribution. This is why every state in the country should have some level of distribution when it comes to cinema and all of that, because this is what will gross it at the end of the day, to say, look, I've shot this movie, there are 36 cinemas in 36 or maybe 50 cinemas. By the time I do this, do that, I'll be able to recoup our investment. And investors will listen. As far as the money will come back, they will listen.
Yeah. Jeff, what you said about this being our success story is very, very instructive. It's a testament to what is actually possible in Nigeria, and we should look at other states of the Federation that can develop security, that can develop infrastructure, that can enable the cinemas to thrive, to be an option for revenue generation, for the creative industry to thrive, such that, movie makers, and I understand what we call Gollywood in Nigeria, the Hausa movie making industry, Kannywood is also thriving. So, we can have other creatives be able to produce such movies and encourage their cinemas to also be an option for revenue making. So it's not just Funke's story, it is Nigeria's success story, and it's an encouragement, to others. I understand that the track is ready, but just before, we take that track, congratulations to Funke Akindele. She has come through a lot. She actually also stood for election, but she wasn't discouraged by her losses. And yes, she wasn't discouraged by her important bit. By her losses. And she has evolved herself, metamorphosed, and been able to attach this to her name. So a big kudos to Funke Akindele on this one.
We're all proud of you, Funke.
Yeah.
So let's take a listen to her.
what is important for Nollywood to do to hit the international market. I think just telling the African stories, being very original, selling what we have here, you know, globally. You will see Bollywood, the Indians, they will sing, they will dance, they will tell their stories, they will speak their languages. They speak English, interject their languages. They even have their movies in their languages. You know, we just need to export what we have, tell the African stories. You know, some people be like, oh, she likes grassroots so much. Oh, we want to see cars, we want to see fashion. Yes, we can see all this. Yes, internationally, they need to know we know fashion here, we're good, we know what it takes to be Western, but we are not. We are Africans. We're Nigerians. Let's tell the Nigerian story. Let's take them to our villages. Let's take them to our suburbs. Let's take them to our ghetto. Let's see how things are done. We watched, what's this ghetto film, this Indian ghetto film, is it something Millionaire? You watched it, you saw the ghetto there. I love it. You watch the Black American films where you see the ghetto there. I love it. It's original. I watched Lupin. What's that, Lupin? Is it? Yes, Lupin. I watched it. I enjoyed everything about, the French in it. It was cool. So what do we have in Nigeria to tell? The African stories. So I majored in A Tribe Called Judah because a lot of Nigerian women, the single ones, they're stigmatized. They be like, you don't have a husband, you don't have a say in the society. You can't mingle, you can't sit with us. So I had to tell their stories, the pains they go through. So stories like this is what we should export or celebrate our culture, our tradition. Why can't we have our own superheroes? Shango, Oya, Obatala, have our own Marvel, the Avengers, come together and do stuff like that. And I am working hard on that.
It would be lovely to see Shango as... I think I've seen some animations about that and some comics. It would be lovely to see...
Absolutely.
We need to own our stories.
Absolutely.
And own our narratives.
And it's a sure forex earner.
Mm-hmm.
You know what?
Fantastic.
We've talked a lot about some of the trending stories, but here's what to look forward to on the show this morning. What are you saying about the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Betta Edu, whose ministry is now being investigated after a leaked document showing she directed that money be paid into a private account? The Accountant General has been speaking. We have others speaking, but what are you saying? We'll take a look at what Nigerians are saying on the show this morning.
Yes, we're interested in your comments on this and a lot of other issues. And just to quickly add to that, Coyote, about the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Investment, we understand that the minister has said that the 1 billion naira allocated for travels was an error and that it was not exactly for travels, wasn't for travels.
Big error there.
Yeah. So, speaking of which, we have other things for you to look forward to Japa or not to Japa. If you're a young, upwardly mobile Nigerian, you don't want to miss the show today because we're bringing you a special on that never-ending debate. So what are your options? What is encouraging you, or what's the discouraging things about the environment that wants to make you leave, migrate to other parts of the country? So to Japa or not to Japa, Nigerians who have pitched their tent on either side, share their stories with us today and the motivation behind their decision.
Exactly. And while you're thinking whether or not to Japa, let's tell you that, look, rush hour transport of the whichever you may want to choose to, however you choose to travel, whether you want to travel by road, water, or rail, maybe we'll cover flight as well, Now, so our correspondents are all over the place, at train stations and jetties to give us live updates on the situation. Remember, the federal government has said we are subsidizing transportation. How has that gone? What to expect? Of course, we also touch on the issue of the third mainland bridge. Yet again, it will be closed for a certain period. They will explain to us exactly why and for which part of that bridge we should be looking out for to ensure that we don't get caught up.
Absolutely. And not forgetting weather and trending stories online. Mommy Z has been trending, as she's been called, and that's been a major trend. We've seen so much goodwill from Nigerians after she put up a post on waking early to cook for her husband. So what a show. That's why we call it the perfect start to your morning.
Absolutely. Amazing, amazing, amazing. So,
do we have time? I'm really interested in Mommy Z, but if we don't have time.
Oh,
we have a lot.
We're
we have a lot to talk about.
We have a lot of
later
comments
on
from Nigeria.
Yeah.
So you know what? Let's get into what people are saying about the minister, Betta Edu. If we can just take some of the comments from Nigerians on X. Yaya Oseni says, agreed, no matter how good she is, she should resign. So we've seen Nigerians calling for her resignation. We've seen others asking that she should be investigated and, of course, the appropriate measure taken, but not to jump into conclusion just yet. And then goes on to say, government needs to do something immediately about humanitarian ministry. Any place where there is a lot of cash movement is prone to corruption. That's Yaya Oseni.
Yeah, my point exactly. Sheya Jai says, but we're told that is the usual practice in government and ministries. So plenty people are supposed to be in the case. It shows how loose money flows in government.
And this is coming from Cassie Cruz. He or she says she should be investigated, sacked, and arrested if found guilty. This is my take on the matter.
Well, I think the federal government said that much, at least from the Ministry of Information, saying there will be an investigation conducted, and if there are infractions or breaches, they will be appropriately punished. So all eyes on the federal government. Who is carrying out that investigation? What is the timeline given? Have they begun already? Because this started trending days ago. I imagine that we're not slow to the party. So let us know the details, not just that statement. It's good, fantastic that you put out a statement, but we need more details to ensure that this government is indeed transparent and accountable, as it has said. So guys, we'll take a moment now, and when we return, we're getting started with that big story. It concerns transportation. You're probably right now en route to your office. It's also a resumption week, right? So this is an information you obviously want to know about. We're talking road transport. Stay with us. It's the morning brief.
We're saying that if you're coming from Lagos, Ibadan, coming from Ogudu, coming from toll gates, and you're going to Adekunle, and you want to use Third Mainland Bridge, by tomorrow 9 a.m., you will not be able to do that. So you have to use the alternatives that have been provided, like Ojota and Bagada. So you have to ram down Bagada and Ojota before you get here. Otherwise, you'll be heading straight to the island. And if you're coming from the island, you can go straight. If you're heading towards Yanoworo, toll gate to Ibadan, the road is free for you. The main brick deck will not be closed tomorrow. It is just the access ramp to Adekunle that will be closed. So what it means in summary is that the two ramps that take traffic from Third Mainland Bridge into Adekunle will be closed by tomorrow for the next few weeks, maybe 2 weeks. Thereafter, the ramps coming out of Adekunle into Lagos Island and Oworo to Lagos-Ibadan Expressway will be closed. So, in summary, those two ramps, those 4 ramps now will be closed for about 5 weeks. But for tomorrow, the one we want to start with is the ramp descending Adekunle from Third Mainland Bridge. So if you have business to do around the Ebute Meta, Third Mainland Bridge is not for you going forward from tomorrow.
Welcome back to the morning brief on Channels Television. We're reaching you live from our global headquarters in Lagos, and we're going to that part of the conversation that affects almost everyone in Lagos. The Third Mainland Bridge, it's a very, very important route that helps commuters, from the mainland to the island, and indeed, others who are moving around. And we have the Federal Controller of Works to help us, with this conversation, Honorable not honorable now, pardon me, Mrs. Olukorede Kisha. We'll bring her right on, but we're still interested in every part, in your comments, in every part of the conversation that we have, talked about today. Either it's Mommy Z or that of the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and every other highlight that we've mentioned. So now let's welcome Mrs. Olukorede Kisha to the program. Welcome, madam. It's so nice to have you in Channels Television Studios.
Good morning.
Good
nice
morning.
to be with you.
I think honorable. You don't mind honorable.
I don't mind honorable.
I just wanted to say that honorable.
But you're an engineer.
Yes, please.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're used to interviewing politicians, so we can be pardoned. So you're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
I think one of the first few things that Nigerians would like to know is particularly is how it has and why it has taken long for the work on the Third Mainland Bridge to be concluded, and perhaps you could also run us through, this phase and how long it will take.
Good morning once again, and thank you for having me. It hasn't taken long. We just started. This government is a new government, barely 1 year old, and very responsive. Initially, we were to have routine maintenance on Third Mainland Bridge before the advent of this new administration. And they looked at it that what this bridge deserves now is more than a routine maintenance. It's a comprehensive maintenance, comprehensive repairs, both on the upper elements and then the under elements. And that's what they did. So it was awarded, and then we started promptly. The forums have been dealt with. We said it would take 6 weeks. We didn't take more than that. We trashed that one out. Now, we now want to do the main bridge deck that goes to Island, and then the one that comes from Island. And because we do not want to multiply the inconvenience that is going to cost the motoring public, we have decided to face it. That was why we tackled the ramp first. We did all the ramps first, while we allow motorists to use the main deck. The contractor has the capacity to do all at the same time, but we said no. The inconvenience will be unimaginable. So let's split it, let's face it, to reduce the inconvenience.
How long would it have taken for the contractor to finish it in one fell swoop?
It will take about 3 months. It will have been done. 3 months, because they have capacity. They will just bring multiple gangs. As one gang is here, one gang is there, but we said no. We can't afford to do that. We don't have many of such roads in Lagos. The population is growing by the minute, so and infrastructure is not matching up with the pace of growth. So we said, okay, let's do that. And that was why during the Yuletide period, we had to leave the bridge, because we're sensitive to what is happening around us. So we left, then we said, okay, let's come back now. Business is a bit low now, things are just gearing up towards taking off. So we said, let's start now. So now we want to start with the bound going to the island from Iyanoworo. And it's going to take us about 6-7 weeks.
You also mentioned something about Adekunle, the portion descending Adekunle.
We have tackled that.
You have tackled that.
All the forums linking Adekunle to the Third Mainland Bridge and Iyanoworo to Ibute Meta, all those forums have been tackled.
So this is a partial closure, not a full closure.
It's a partial one. It's a partial one.
It will be closed between what time and what time?
No. The bound going to, if you're going to Island, that lane, that carriageway, that 4 lanes will be totally closed.
Okay.
For repairs. Why will now divert traffic to the other one? The other lane going to Iyanoworo will now be used interchangeably.
As a dual carriage road?
No, interchangeably, in the sense that in the mornings, the people going to Island, we use that. There will be a point of diversion at Iyanoworo.
All right.
So they will take a detour and then take the Iyanoworo bound lane. People coming from Island now will no longer be able to do so by tomorrow noon. And they will not be able to come from Island straight to Iyanoworo. They will have to use alternative routes, like Eko Bridge and then the Kata Bridge. But people going in the morning, they will have access to that. They will take a detour at Iyanoworo, going through that opposing lane, supposedly. Then they will come in back again at Adeniji and then go to the island.
So I wanted to find out what measures are being put in place, because this is going to, the Carter Bridge itself, there's going to be a lot of pressure in that direction. I don't know, maybe you can give us a data, maybe statistics of how many vehicles ply the third mainland bridge, because some people are not even familiar with this route you're talking about, people who don't go to the island too often. So maybe a little bit of explanation on these diversions you're talking about, sometime in the morning, because some people, there are people that they don't have any business on the island, so they leave and stay on the mainland, and maybe they have a reason to go to the island, and they get stuck like, what happened to our third mainland bridge? So all of that. So two questions in one. First is, what is the ministry doing in terms of when pressure builds up at the end of the day, when vehicles break down? What is the ministry doing? And people who are not quite familiar, maybe explain again how this detour will happen.
If you get to Yano, that is from midnight. Like tomorrow now, we're going to close it around 11, 12 noon. So if you get to Yano around 11, 12 noon tomorrow, you understand, you will still be able to,
You'll be able to climb the bridge?
Yes, but
going to the island?
You'll be able to go.
But those coming
will not be able to go.
Will not be able to come?
They will not be able to come to Yanoworo.
Okay.
But if you're going from Yanoworo to Adekunle, you will still be able to go.
Okay.
You will still be able to go to Lagos Island. In the afternoon, people coming from the mainland that want to use Third Mainland Bridge will not be able to do so.
So when does afternoon start?
Afternoon starts by 1.
So from 1 p.m.?
From 1, no, 12.
From midday.
12, we're going to block it.
Okay.
After blockage, there will still be some stream of flow in between.
Yeah.
So we allow those ones to go. So by 1 o'clock, we assume that all the stream will have been gone by 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Now, for those who are trying...
Because that bridge is about 9.7 kilometers.
Okay.
So if we close it by 12, we expect some traffic to be between that Yanoworo and Adeniji. So we've given them like 1 hour to fizzle out. Thereafter, we'll open for the people coming from Adeniji Island coming to the mainland.
So
you didn't answer my question as to incidents and then the pressure that is going to be, because now these diversions will happen. Not all vehicles are roadworthy. So many things, you know these challenges. So what is being put in place to ensure that no matter what happens, whether it's an articulated vehicle or a saloon car, quick response is in place to ensure, because it's high, that road, the level of traffic burden is huge, literally. So what is the ministry putting in place?
We're working in conjunction with Lagos State government. We've been having a series of meetings with Commissioner for Transportation, the last mile GM and last mile operation officers. So they'll be deployed to man all these points of diversions. And then the CCCC, they have towing vans, towing vehicles. Lagos State has. All these will be mobilized on all the routes to support us. So once there's a breakdown, we have capacity to tow away from site and then allow for the traffic to flow. The Commissioner of Police is in touch with us. We're working hand in hand. As I live here now, I'm going to his office. I'll be going to Commissioner of Transportation's office too. So all the area commanders that man that axis, we are all in synergy together to ensure that traffic is flowing at all times.
Partnership is quite important in ensuring this is a success.
Yeah.
And I imagine for a lot of people who have to apply that route, the headache they're feeling right now, so that their beloved 3MB, as we always call it, half of it will be shot. But it's quite innovative what is being done. So you are monitoring the traffic flow. You know that there's more traffic going to the island in the morning, so people can use the other side in the morning. I know that there's more traffic in the afternoon, so it's now some sort of dual purpose highway, even though it's not the dual carriage we know about. So that's something very important to note. But speak to us about the alternative routes, and I think Jeff was going to that when he was talking about provision. But what are the alternative routes? So if I'm trying to get to the island in the afternoon, some people don't really have businesses on the island, as Jeff said. Some do, but they probably didn't get this information on time, so maybe they'll be caught up tomorrow. What are the alternatives for them? So they get there approaching Iyanaworo in the afternoon, and they just see that the road is closed. What can they do? Or they're coming from the island towards Iyanaworo in the morning, and they see it is closed. What are the options available for them? I know you have to partner with LASMA, with perhaps FRSC, police, and the rest, but help us to understand the alternatives available.
If you're coming from, let's say, Tollgate in the morning, going towards the island, it is free for you, just like I've said. But in the afternoon, by 12 o'clock, it's no longer free for you. So if you miss Ojota, then you take Bagada.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you miss Ojota, then you take Bagada.
Does that mean that the control will not even allow you get to Iyanaworo in the first place?
No, you will get to Iyanaworo.
Okay.
There's a diversion here.
Yes.
Okay.
But there will be a lot of traffic on that route, Bagada.
No, that's why we're saying if you miss. So if you're coming from Tollgate exits now, so your best bet is to take Ojota.
And just follow Ikorodu Road.
Follow Ikorodu Road.
And
to
go
Yaba, to Muritala Mohammed, then to Ido, Kata Bridge, and go to the island. If you don't want to go like that, you still follow the Ikorodu Road. Go straight to Western Avenue, that's Funshaw Williams Avenue. Then you climb Iko Bridge and go to the island in the morning. I mean, in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Then if you're coming from island in the afternoon, there's the same way. Just follow Kata Bridge. If you don't want to follow Kata Bridge, you follow Iko Bridge. Come to Funshaw Williams Avenue. Then from there you find your route.
What about the waterways? Because I know that's also not everybody can charter a helicopter, right?
Yeah, I was going there.
Only very few privileged Nigerians.
So a lot of people who know that there will be bottlenecks on the Carter Bridge, because all of that traffic that is going to be on the Third Mainland Bridge is going to be on those smaller routes, which we know the alternative routes are smaller. So what about water travel? Because we need to place all the cards on the table for people to know.
We're looking into that. But majorly, those are the major alternatives we have provided. But we're looking into that too. That has always been on ground, but I know a lot of people have phobia for water. So they would rather prefer, you understand, that they go on the road. There's nothing you can do about that. And then parking and co. Before you drive your car to go and park and then enter this, enter that. So it's an option too.
Is the ministry also looking at, because when things like this happen, for people who are not quite familiar, if you travel by road to other states, so when the major roads have issues, people pass through villages, all of a sudden we see tolls in these villages collecting, some stipends and from, people and all of that. I hope that the ministry is working towards that. So, for instance, I miss my way. I can't find, I go to pass a particular street. I don't want to see people trying to harass me to say, okay, you're passing our street and you need to do it. Is the ministry looking, because let's not just look at Kata Bridge, we're looking at all other smaller roads or alternative routes. So is the ministry also looking at that and collaborating with the federal state government rather to ensure that this doesn't happen?
Yes, we talked about that. Majorly, maybe offenders will be pardoned, kind of. Majorly for this kind of period.
Okay.
If you're not going to cause a traffic jam or gridlock or traffic nuisance.
LASMA is part of this, right?
Yes, they are they are very much involved.
Okay.
So there's a guarantee that they'll be deployed in good numbers.
Yes,
those alternative
very
routes.
Good numbers, even police.
So right now we expect LASMA to be more corrective than punitive.
Yes, they are going to be.
You need to repeat that.
No, they are going to be, especially around the Ebute Meta. You understand? Because from Ebute Meta now, you cannot go to the island.
Okay, so if you take...
So there is no... We're going to make it in such a way that there will not be like one way, wrong way inside that Ebute Meta axis for this period.
Mrs. Kesha, I feel tempted to say that you should repeat it. Like the police will say, police is your friend, you're not supposed to pay for bail. So maybe you have to repeat that statement again about...
I want to repeat it, and I want to make it clear.
Good.
Once you are not constituting a public nuisance, and you're not going to cause traffic gridlock or logjam, you understand? You're not going to be punished.
Okay.
LASMA, they are going to look the other way. But in case you want to constitute nuisance, because some people, they are deliberate.
Okay.
You understand? In their action and intentions. They know that they need to be patient for others to go, but they will not do that. Then they want to, you understand, overtake others when they are not supposed to do. You will be punished.
Very
for that.
Well, please, does this law apply to all classes of vehicle? Commercial,
and private.
Private. You know where I'm going, madam, with all of this?
And
because like sometimes it's like
the rules that apply to private doesn't apply to commercial.
Doesn't apply to commercial vehicle. Because we drive, we see these things like, okay, if I beat traffic, if I do something, they've surrounded you.
Which you
and
will
then
not do, Jeffrey.
just as they surrounded you, you're seeing yellow buses.
I think we're going to leave that one to the commissioner.
Okay. No, because this
it
is your work.
No, for
it is your work.
Our work on Third Mainland Bridge, I'm just going to say that for the emphasis sake once again, that if for Ebute Meta exists, that's where we envisage problem. On Ikorodu Road now, you cannot do that.
Okay.
You understand? But we discovered that inside Ebute Meta, some exits are designated as one way, wrong way. Okay. You understand that one? For the purpose of this construction, those laws
will be relaxed.
Well, Jeffrey, I understand your point perfectly, but it's important that we also emphasize that Nigerians should be of good behavior, especially at this point, and cooperate with government officials as they do their work. But again, the law must not be selective. We just honestly must hope so. Now, Matt, please talk to us about, first of all, before we go to what the last phase of the work would entail, talk to us about vandalism on the bridge and the resort of the contractors to using alternatives, to working on accessories on the bridge. I know that you have had to address the matter of the removal of piers under the bridge at a certain point. So talk to us about that and how it's affecting the work of contractors on Third Mainland Bridge and on other repair works that you've had to supervise during your time as Controller of Works.
A cause for a great concern. What is happening around us is not only on infrastructure, it's generally. But on our infrastructure, we've talked about, like the guardrails, a lot of them are missing on Third Mainland Bridge. Not due to deterioration or anything, it's just due to vandalization. We've had DPOs call upon us that they've arrested some culprits who are caught in the act. And then they called us, we went to the police station, and then we recovered some of them. But how long are we going to do this? For how long? We looked about replacing it with other elements. It's going to be very cost involved, you understand? So we don't have that cost. So we cannot even replace all. Concrete is not befitting on that axis to be used as guardrails. What is befitting there is the structural elements that we have used, the aluminium type, the galvanized type. But people won't let it be. So it's a general concern. It's not just about that bridge. So we've talked to the police. That's why I'm going to the police commissioner now again to reiterate it, because we're trying to refix it now, trying to make everything new. It's a collective responsibility. Then on Nigerians too and Lagosians, we're saying if you see something, say something, and then it will be sorted out.
Let me take a cue from that, and pardon me. So I've seen the concrete rails for this Lagos and Badon construction, perhaps as a result of what we've seen in other places. But what I see, because you asked us if we see something, say something. On that route, just right in the middle of the road, I don't know if you saw that on your way here, you've probably seen it traveling. And I have to find a way to say this because it's television. You see people taking dumps right in the middle, feces and the rest, right in the middle of the road. And it's an eyesore. You enter Lagos, which is a commercial capital of Nigeria, and that is a site, actually. That is a site that greets you. If you roll down,
and the stench follows you.
You don't want to even roll down.
And the environmental implication.
Terrible. And these are people, because I was tempted to ask, do we have cattle actually crossing that? But no, of course, cattle, these are people doing that. You may have seen that. There are images and videos everywhere. It's an eyesore. It's even not palatable to talk about, but we have to raise these issues. Is there anything you're doing in that area? Is there anything that can be done? So, I mean, it's a mess, really.
It's part of why I'll be seeing the Commissioner of Police this morning, and then I'll have another meeting with the commissioners of environment from both Lagos and Ogun State. But have you been to Adekunle of recent? The roads that we just refurbished, we just rehabilitated. Come and see dumps of refuse at the middle of the road. Middle of the road. I was there yesterday while inspecting these diversion points. and I went around Adekunle, came up again. They started bags of refuse at the median and by the site. Why we were there yesterday, we saw people, about 7 of them, they lined up like this.
So don't practice.
So what are you...
They were doing the big thing.
So
on the road.
You've talked about partnerships. What are you recommending to the ministries that you are in partnership with about how to solve these environmental problems? Either it's the pollution in the median or it's the vandalism on the highways. What are you recommending?
I want to believe that a lot of work needs to be done by the states, governments, and the local governments. I've asked my engineers to go after the local government chairman, Yaba local government chairman, that it is unacceptable for us as a ministry and as a nation, a road that just be newly done. What's the local government, what are they doing? Federal government can't do everything. We all have responsibilities. Everybody should wake up to their responsibilities. I think there should be a resuscitation of this sky or something like that.
We do have it in Lagos. I wanted to add.
I don't think they are.
Is the federal ministry thinking of deploying technology, CCTV cameras? Because you're talking about people stealing things or removing things from the third mainland bridge. It's an important bridge to the economy of Nigeria and the economy of Lagos. So whatever investment is made on that bridge is worthwhile. So is the ministry thinking? Is the ministry thinking of deploying technology to ensure that this doesn't happen again or is minimized to the barest minimum? I was quite excited when I saw that they're finally putting lights on Kara Bridge. Because sometimes all you need to solve insecurity is illumination.
Even the lights, they're vandalizing them.
Already?
On the Kara Bridge?
Not Kara, on our other roads.
Third Mainland.
Right.
On our other roads.
So
they're vandalizing the cables, they're vandalizing the generators, even the solar lights. In some places that we installed, the next day they've uninstalled.
So what kind of punishment are you? I think that's
I don't know. I don't think that is for me to answer.
No, I'm just thinking of
it's a general problem.
If you can deploy,
that we have.
If you can think of deploying technology, because
CCTV will be ultimately deployed on Third Mainland Bridge because it's a major national asset.
When will that be?
No, once we are done now. Once we are done with the repairs. This phase we want to do now, the island band, will take us about 6-7 weeks. Conversely, we change to the other lane, about 7 weeks. So we're thinking about 3 months or 3.5 months.
So by
so we'll be done.
March?
Once we are done.
March, April, right?
March, April, yes.
Is there a specific date for that?
Yes. 8 weeks maximum.
So is that March or April?
Let's say April.
April?
Yes.
With the final work on the Third Mainland Bridge?
Yes, April.
I know most of the points that we have raised are not necessarily within your purview, but it's important to have this conversation, so it will be a sort of agenda setting for the relevant ministries involved. And that's why I want to add that I wonder if it is part of your recommendation that public toilets be made available on the stretch, particularly this stretch of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. There are a lot of traders on this route, and there are no public toilets around. I wonder if you consider it an important point.
It is very important.
Part of your recommendation.
It is very important. We've said that. Okay, it was TVC that called me, I think it was on Saturday, and I told them that apart from providing the public toilets, punitive measures.
Like what? Arrest in prison?
Yes, yes.
Oh, are you trying to say that even when public toilets are made available, people still go and abuse this infrastructure?
They still do. They still do. You find people, public toilets here, and then you find a man who want to sow the seed just by the roadside. Because it's easier for them to do that. It's easier for them, and they're free.
So just a last.
Do not have shame.
Just a last bit before we release
TVC was recording like this, and the man was still doing the thing.
Just a second, madam. Are we updating this alternative route on Google Map for those who use Google Map? Is there any update on? Are you talking with the technology guys to make sure that this changes? Because Google Map will still take you.
Well, some of the changes are reflected, but it's important to know the kind of partnership you have.
Is there any?
Because most people use the maps.
It's another agenda.
Maybe when Google Maps take them there, maybe they will see that there's no road. Are they going to fly?
What a way to put it. There you go.
They can't fly. And then Google Maps will tell them now that now you have made a dead end, so turn right.
Turn right.
Yes, it's going to tell them that. Yes, now.
And a diversion.
Yes.
Well, it would only be temporary anyway, so...
We're going to block at the points that you can divert.
All right.
You understand? That junction of Bagada to Third Mainland, that's what we're going to. So Google Map will tell you can no longer go straight. Just turn right.
I hope Google Map doesn't mislead you at this point.
No,
all right, we want to thank you very much, Mrs. Olukorede Kisha, for your time and thoughts on the program today. She's the Federal Controller of Works in Lagos. Thank you so much, ma'am. And we hope that
for having me.
When next we call on you, you'll be readily available.
I'm available. I'm not singing, I'm unavailable. I'm singing, I'm available.
Okay, I love
so tomorrow,
that's way too much during this interview.
So tomorrow you're invited.
Oh, absolutely. We'll be
by
there
11,
live.
12.
Yeah.
So when we'll be doing
we're going to join you live to make sure that we see all of that.
That's fine. That's fine.
All right,
thank you for
so
having
much,
me.
ma'am.
Thank you. All right.
So, you've been updated on the alternative routes and you know just how long the reconstruction rehabilitation work will last on Third Mainland Bridge. Well, up next on to our next conversation on the program, and it is to Japa or not to Japa. What are the push and the pull factors? Stay with us. We'll be right back.
From passport offices, state embassies, and then international airports. They are young, educated, skillful, but desperate to leave. A vast wave of emigration is sweeping through Nigeria. Visa applicants arrive here, one of the visa centers in Lagos. More applicants bearing envelopes troop in and out of several other foreign embassies and visa centers. Some contact their agents seeking shortcuts or faster ways of completing the process, but their patience is tested as they're made to wait for many hours and sometimes the whole day without success. For some, it's a journey that begins with hope but often ends in despair. Some Nigerians dispose of their properties in distress sale, and some also borrow monies to migrate in search of greener pastures. Others are promised jobs abroad that don't exist, and in the process, many are scammed. On the flip side, it's a beehive of activities as hawkers cash in on the situation to market their products. But let's put some numbers to this scenario. Some experts are concerned about the negative implications.
Nigeria is blessed when it comes to natural and human resources. We are blessed in both ways, and it's disturbing in the fact that the best are leaving in terms of medical doctors and nurses and engineers, and a lot is just leaving the country.
But it's a sentiment others disagree with.
The Japa syndrome is a two-way street. What's the two-way? We tend to pay attention only to the outflux of people who are applying for school, applying for skilled hire, and relocating to other climes. Nobody is paying attention to how many people are actually returning to Nigeria. I mean, if we take a good statistics, which I would like to point out, a great number of the businesses in the private sector today that are either unicorns, startups, thriving businesses were set up by people who we classify as returnees.
Nigeria continues to lose medical experts to other countries, but as doctors continue to leave, shrinking the healthcare workforce drastically below the WHO's recommendation of 1 doctor to 1,000 patients. Dr. Jean Nassar, a Lebanese IVF specialist, has been practicing in the country since 2020. He wants the government to improve the quality of healthcare delivery in order to reduce the number of doctors leaving the country, as well as curb medical tourism.
All the health system here need to be more, if you want, taken care of. We need more good hospitals, good centers, And we need mostly the good doctors not to leave, and good nurses also. Good nurses and good doctors should not leave Nigeria. But for them not to leave, we should offer them maybe good centers and good hospitals so they can still work here.
These analysts agree that the government must take this as a challenge and make living in the country so attractive so as to discourage the massive exodus of citizens.
One of the things we always advise governments to look at critically is the value that their bilateral relationships with other countries is producing for our citizens. I mean, the ease of doing business, quality of living, exchange programs, whether it's educational programs or business programs, access to exchange treaties. These things are very key to ensuring that one country can create an enabling environment, not only for her citizens, but to attract foreigners who consider that place a great place with ease of doing business.
I don't think Nigerians are asking the government for too much. I think if the government can prioritize energy in terms of power, infrastructure, and Nigerians just want to see a government that is ready to invest in the people, in trying to eradicate poverty.
So the expression on the faces of these visa applicants tell the story of desperation. They want to get out of the country by all means and all cost. That's why some go through the Sahara Desert and others attempt to cross the Mediterranean Sea, thereby putting their lives in harm's way. But the big question perhaps is just how green is the pasture on the other side. From the Victoria Island area here in Lagos, Kelly Egiga, Channels Television News.
Well, I'll tell you this for free. Yeah, I had to take a moment to soak it in. This particular conversation is one that we have all looked forward to, particularly because it seems unending. To Japa or not to, or in simple English, to relocate out of Nigeria or not to. So this morning we are dealing with that very thorny issue, very controversial. Yes, it's been a very heated debate on and off social media, but we're tackling it this morning. We're not afraid to take on issues here on the Morning Brief. So let's meet our guests. What we're having this morning is a round table. So we have people who have japad, essentially, who have excelled in that the bid to Japa, which some have called the Nigerian dream. That's debatable again. And then we have people who have said, well, I'm staying back here in Nigeria because great things are happening here in Nigeria. Nigeria is a beautiful nation and we'll ensure we stay back to make it work. So let us meet our panel this morning. We have joining us from Canada, JJ Okonkwo. Well, a lot of people know him as JJ the Jocular Okonkwo, who's a media healthcare professional, a tech bro, and also, according to him, a Japa consultant. Joins us this morning from Canada. It's good to have you on the show. Also, Adeyemi Adeoye joins us from the United States. He is an energy affairs analyst. So two of them have been able to perfect their Japa plans, and they're living that life. But here in Nigeria, we have a lady and a gentleman. Both of them are back home, and they're doing great as well. Right here in our Lagos studio is Temitope Tankwe-Ajay, who is an actor, a producer, and a host. It's good to have you on the show.
It's good to be here. Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. And in our Abuja studio is Aliyu Audu, who's a special assistant to the President on Public Affairs, obviously not Jack Buying. Good morning, Mr. Audu. It's good to have you on the Morning Brief, and Happy New Year to you.
Thank you for having me. Happy New Year, Nigerians.
So let's just get started. I'll give each of us just a minute to speak to particularly why you're sticking to your decision to either Japa or not to. What has motivated you? Bukola called it the pull and the push effect. So I'm going to begin with the lady, of course, the gentleman, right? So, Tokwe.
Yes, please.
What is your decision? I don't want to preempt you. I know what it is, but what is it and what motivates that decision?
Okay, to be honest, I'm very indifferent about Japa. Not like if the opportunity comes, I would not take it. But I'm not actively searching, or I'm not desperate to find every given opportunity. You know, we find out that a lot of people don't even have their facts right. The average Nigerian just wants to move, just because that's what's raining, not because, you know, maybe they're earning a fair income, or they're probably not doing so great and they just feel, you know, I want to move because I want to earn in dollars. But people forget that you can actually be here and earn in foreign currencies. You necessarily do not have to travel to be able to earn in dollars or even in pounds. But for me, I would say that my money is here. When dollar wasn't even that inflated, when the naira to dollar wasn't as bad as it is now, I wasn't even earning as much. And now that it's absorbed, when it was 500 or 700, we thought the world was going to come to an end. Now that it's over 1,000, I'm still earning more than. I'm cutting checks day in, day out. And I'm grateful for that. But that doesn't mean there are not better opportunities out there. But I'm saying that there's still a lot to milk here in Nigeria. And I would rather milk it, be grounded in my field before I can consider moving out there, because then I have something to show. I have a great resume. I have something that I have worked for and something that I can show. So basically, that's my...
Japa, if you could allow me to maybe counter you just a little bit. You work in an industry that is thriving, not just thriving, that has the opportunity for alternative sources of revenue besides what you earn, from being the main character or a supporting character in the movie. There are opportunities for endorsement. There are opportunities, for other creative aspects of the work. So would it be unfair to others who do not have that expansive room for expression in terms of their talent? Maybe that's why they would rather Japa.
Okay, so everyone is a talent, regardless of the field that you find yourself in. We're all talents. We have a mind that works. I believe strongly in, additional skills. If you find yourself in any field, are you taking courses to upgrade yourself as opposed to sticking to where you think you belong and complaining? No one will give you a chance. You literally have to take chances. And that applies to every field. So in as much as, yes, the entertainment industry is thriving and we're thankful for that, but wherever you find yourself, research. What can I do to be better? What can I study to know more? What can I do? Information is everywhere. And like I said, you can earn while you're here. There are lots of remote jobs. An average Nigerian is literally on their phone, pressing it on social media, doing absolutely nothing. That doesn't say, there are lots of people that are not making money off their phones. But then again, there are lots of remote, just research, web designing, graphics designing, there's this other course, I can't remember what it's called now. I think it's customer care representatives. A lot of people are awake all night, literally doing nothing. Not a lot of people. I don't have my facts right, but then again, I'm just saying there are opportunities out there. Take chances.
Maybe we'll go to Aldo. You said everybody should take turns.
So I think we should sandwich it. Let's keep Aldo for the last. Let's take Adeyemi, JJ, and then we'll come to Aldo. So Adeyemi, let me come to you. Your decision and then why you made that decision to relocate. So you tell us, then we'll go to JJ before we go to Aldo. Go ahead, please, Adeyemi.
Okay, first off, good morning, Nigerians, and congratulations on your new show. And basically, me, I've been out here for a while, so my story is a little bit different from, the regular. I've been working in Nigeria and living here, having my shuttles back forth for, say, a decade now. So I just decided to close down my activities. Basically for family reasons. My kids are growing and I need to give them more attention. So speaking specifically to the Japa thing, I think it really became a thing under the last government. That should be in the last, say, 5 to 8 years thereabout. We started seeing professionals, immigrating, leaving Nigeria, Then it got to a head about 2-3 years ago when all manner of people from professionals and, the likes started doing the same thing, abandoning whatever it was they were doing and leaving the country. And of course, when you trace this, there's no other reason than the economy. Yeah, inflation is at double digit, unemployment double digit. When you look at all these parameters, so to bring it home, if what is happening in Nigeria or what has happened in Nigeria in the last 5 to 8 years, if it happens in America, Canada, or wherever, they would also japa to Africa or wherever they can find, not just some respite, not like people are not trying to want to be billionaires or millionaires. They just want to have a life. They want to have a life or a semblance of a life. So basically that has been, I've met a cross-section of Nigerians, many of them professionals while out here. And the reason they left, they were professionals in Nigeria, they were working as well. The reason they left is just to have a life, Everybody's story is different, definitely. Some people left for health reasons, some left for different challenges, some left because the business environment was not friendly, and things started happening, things started going south business-wise.
Right.
So you need to take people's story,
case by case.
You can't take it holistically. You got to take it one by one. So everybody has a story, why they left, and why they took that decision.
Yeah. Absolutely. So made a very important point, case by case. So let's check out JJ's case. JJ, you're in Canada. What motivated you to go to Canada? Why not Nigeria for you?
Happy New Year, Africa. I would always like to say that a cool new budget should be, yes, so. But trust me, even Nigeria as a whole, budget. I like to break it down from the perspective of an average Nigerian. I was a professional living at Lekki and I worked at VI. At some point I was working at Ikeja, but let's break it down to VI. You need to wake up at 4:30 to get ready to hit that road, because by the time you get to the road, there are probably 200 people and 3,000 vehicles. I don't know how that happens. Or maybe the inverse of that. There is traffic right there, which would probably take you 2 hours to get to VI. The roads are bad, very bad. There is Agbero doing their own. The bus drivers are driving recklessly and ridiculously. You have the law enforcement officers who are also there, who are probably just a little above normal, and somebody from the behind or maybe in front or by the side decides to hit you. There are pedestrians moving all around. We just talked about dumping, one or two things, feces and, dumping refuse on the street. That is the norm. People dump it on a regular. And then you manage to get to your office. Your boss is triggered. Of course, you need to take some time to reload yourself and reboot to get into the mood to work, to deliver optimally. And then your colleagues are also hyper because they experience the same thing. And you manage to wrap up work with that day, and you decide to get back home. You face 3 hours of traffic to probably get to Chevron. And then you get back home, there is a neighbor right there who decides to jam up a Burna Boy Davido because, he's so high that day, and he decides to, exhibit his Afrobeat in him. What happens? You decide to sleep at night. NEPA wakes you up. You can't sleep because there is no power. What then happens? Because your environment is so polluted, dirty, there are mosquitoes breeding double quick time, reproducing every day. So that on its own is on you. Can you sleep that night? Absolutely not. So this is the regular, everyday lifestyle of the average Nigerian and more. How do you expect somebody to survive in such an environment? So I will say this, the quest for decency, for a very normal lifestyle, which is not exorbitant. It's not something far-fetched. It shouldn't be. But hey, to Nigerians, it's a gold mine. That's why.
All right, let's bring it home. And I'm happy that JJ spoke before Audu. So Audu, this is clearly him. This is his definition of Nigeria and the reason why he left. So yes, Audu, you're the federal government in this case. Because so I'm sure with federal government job, you don't want to go anywhere. But two ways. First, why are you staying? And what's your response to him as the federal government? Because you work with the presidency.
All right, good morning. First thing first, I decided to stay because I'm very Nigerian and I'm very African, and I understand that, I mean, if we don't build the country we want, nobody will build it for us. We can complain all we want. You know, we've been, our education system, our socio-economic system, even our religious system, you know, have been predefined that we can never see the best in ourselves. We can't. We can't play on someone else's terms, rules of engagement, tough, and expect to win, especially in game designed by them. So at some point, as Africans, you know, we are going to have to look back and ask ourselves, you know, what is my essence of existence? You know, what matters to me? Americans will tell you freedom. You know, everything they do, the system does to give individuals freedom on every level. It has positive and negative side, but what's ours? And when you look at Nigerians, basically, over the years, I think because of the earlier, you know, years of colonization and everything, and the inheritance of those colonization by the elite, you know, who have replaced the colonial master tactfully. It's all every Nigerian just wants to do is to matter. That's what we want to do. We want to matter. And to matter, you have to be alive. You have to be able to feed. You have to have a roof over your head. You have to be educated. You know, you have to have adequate, access to good health care at like somebody said, at reasonable cost, not asking for too much. But we don't have this. We haven't had this. We can blame government before the then the ones before then, or even the military then. We at some point will have to stop, you know, and look at, you know, how we were before colonization and what colonization was like, and how we were supposed to survive or come back from that impact of colonization, now neo-colonization. And the truth is, these the Westerners have, you know, edge over us. They had head start over us in terms of technological advancement. I mean, in different series. I mean, the whole exploration that led to coming to discover Africa and seeing all we have, and, you know, looking at everything as within their knowledge at the time, you know, they realized our most, you know, our most precious asset were the people. So who did they take? The middle class, the working class. So it's that. If we blame Japa on the last government or government before them, who do we blame those ones on? I mean, we have the middle class from time, the workforce who were forcefully taken, then the ones who were brainwashed either through religion or through whatever it is, and decide to seek. I mean, how do you think it is closer to speak to God outside of where God has created you? I don't get it. But I mean, it is clearly an agenda by those who did certain things, and they put everything in place. We will always desire what, you know, they have put in our education system, you know, what we are fed on as to what the ideal life is. But if I graduated 2003 from Computer Science, University of Ilorin, I was fortunate enough to work with multinational. You know, at the time I graduated, the best job available was 150,000, especially if you are lucky or good enough to have made second class upper or thereabout. You know, if all around the test centers, all of the exam centers in Lagos that we went for jobs, I mean, there were tons of people with 2-1 and first class. Tons of people. I'm talking 2004, 2005. Banks were paying 150,000 average per month. 1.8 was annual. I mean, it was a big deal to get that. So what happened? You know, how did we get to this place? You see, we have an elite system who aren't conscious of their existence or their purpose of existence, and that has, you know, now taken into gutters the earlier vision and the hard work of our founding forefathers who fought for our independence. They went abroad for education, not most against, tactically against their will, but they came back, established it, but they realized that they were getting, you know, way less than they deserve, just like we all believe right now. Every Nigerian right now believes we deserve more than we are getting. That was what our forefathers realized. They were established people in their own right. They were even better than the Europeans whom they studied in their territory. That's how blessed we are as Nigerians, as Africans, Nigerians especially. You know, and they realized that that's how they put their differences aside, worked for our independence with a vision to create one of the most prosperous, united, diverse nation on earth. It is our responsibility now. We can all run. Those who have gone, it is natural. You will go seek greener pasture. You go to where, you know,
Mr. Audu, if I may button.
At some point realize.
Yeah, if I may button. I know there's a lot for you to talk about, and we're going to get even deeper in the conversation, but we're due for a break. So we'll go on this break. When we come back, we're going to expand the conversation. He's mentioned a few things. Does neo-colonialism have a role to play in all of this? They will expatiate and maybe give us their perspective as well. But for now, we'll go on this quick break. When we come back, join us again on The Morning Brief.
Hi, I'm Pat Rankin, and they don't call me World Best for no reason. I only deal with the best. Be it auto or business, 100% claim is always guaranteed.
Welcome to World Class Insurance Services. We are Anchor Insurance.
Where insurance truly works.
Back. It's still The Morning Brief. We are talking Japa or not to Japa. We have an entire team right here in the studio as well as virtually and in our Abuja studio. So we've been talking with all of them on Nigeria saying, we're here, we ain't going nowhere. And the ones abroad say, well, these are reasons for going abroad and staying there. So let me get back to Mr. Audu, who is a special assistant to the President on Public Affairs. I did say that how much of neo-colonialism how much of neo-colonialism impacts the decision for people to move abroad? Look at what happened recently with the certificate from Togo and Benin, because there's this perception that education outside there is better than ours. So, in fact, if you go to work, you said you graduated in 2003. Perhaps if you had brought in a certificate from, say, the UK, and somebody who went to Unilorin with due respect, maybe they will look at the person from the UK for whatever reason. It's one of those factors. So how much of neo-colonialism plays a role in people leaving the country?
Yes, it plays a significant role because it is, a subtle replacement of colonization. What successfully they've done is to get into our head and get us to enslave ourselves mentally, and to their products and services and environments, and make us crave for it. Even if we steal everything, we ought to give ourselves what we deserve to store in their place. You know, that's the elite. Those in the private and the public sector, definitely. And you did say something in comparison, in terms of the output. I have been in the labor force for nearly 2 decades. You know, I worked at the highest level, the fastest industry, multinational. I worked with MTN for 10 years in Nigeria and in Accra. And I'll tell you, from 2005 that I joined MTN, the best of every unit in MTN were Nigerians who were educated and schooled here. But the shocking thing is, about 80% of those people are not here today. They have all left.
Okay.
Because they have to leave. You know.
Pardon me. So we needed you to do a lot of heavy lifting to respond to Adeyemi and JJ as well. That's why we essentially stayed longer to get your response to some of the issues they've raised. But you've raised another issue which is quite important. So let's find out if JJ is one of those that was a high flyer in Nigeria at that point and has since moved on. JJ, neocolonialism has come up, and I know you've probably heard that time and again in the conversation. Do you feel that you fell for that trap as well? Because some say, why didn't you stay back to fix the Nigeria so you can be the nation you're proud of?
I don't blame anybody for not laying my bed. That's the truth about it. You don't blame neocolonialism, whatever you call it, and say that because these third world countries had the first head start. Does that affect the fact that, how does that influence the fact that you can provide common security for your people? How does that affect the fact that you cannot refine crude oil in your country? How does that also say that, oh, you can't provide power? Because there are certain people we know that are going to live off these dysfunctional systems. Do you blame the white man for that? You should blame yourself. I mean, elections held, and we saw what happened. A lot of persons were, rigging here and there. So they say, but there is no proof so far that these elections were free and fair. I mean, from the best of my knowledge. So look at that. You don't blame the white man. I don't like it when we talk about we speak beyond the norm. It is very simple. We have failed ourselves and we keep failing ourselves. Look at the politicians, the men in power, broad daylight embezzlement. How does neocolonialism or the Head Start affect the fact that we should prosecute these people rather than chasing the Yahoo boys? I'm not saying you shouldn't chase the Yahoo boys, but I'm saying they're all the same. So who should be blamed? Should we blame ourselves or should we blame those people? How many years should it take us to get certain things right? To provide common hospital. You still see our politicians travel out. I mean, it's a very big shame that a hospital cannot handle even a governor in our country. Not one hospital. Come on now. Let me speak in like a real Nigerian. It's madness, really. So I don't think we should put blames on anybody. We should blame ourselves. And the fact that I couldn't change a lot of all these things, that's the reason I went and I'm still here to see how things are done right. Try to reposition my mindset, relocate my mental faculty, because that's what we need as Nigerians. If we understand that we are all deprived mentally, and we need to fix things the way it is right here in Canada and US and other parts of the world, the third world countries, and make it happen in our own country, then we have a head start. That's right.
Thank you very much, JJ. It's good to know that you can still speak like a Nigerian and you have not resorted to using a lot of the R's. Like some Nigerians who have not necessarily lost their accent, but they have become Americans in 24 hours. Let's bring it back home now to talk where I'm curious to know if some of these reasons resonate with you, particularly from JJ and from Mr. Adeyemi, who is in Canada. Do they resonate with you, and does it still make you feel indifferent about whether or not to Japa?
I'm still very indifferent. I resonate with them because, I mean, truths are being told, right? But we also cannot take out the fact that our colonial masters fed us information that they wanted us to have. When they came back they ruled us for about 100 years before we gained our independence, right? And it's what they want. It's what they wanted you to think that they pumped into our minds. They went into different villages and, showing the average Nigerian, or basically every Nigerian that cared to watch, pictures, videos of the Queen. Everyone wanted to be like them. Yes, they brought in good stuff. They brought in good ideas, good know-hows and whatnot. But we cannot rule out the fact that, the ills that you're running away from here, what are the chances that you're not going to battle with that? Insecurity. There are 7 times more chances of a Nigerian getting shot or a black man getting shot in the U.S., in any city in the U.S. than in Lagos. Lagos as a case study. Find the health sector is amazing. You have your reasons. To each malam is kettle. Right? If it's health reasons, I understand that the health sector, to be honest, it's not the greatest. If our politicians cannot get treated here, why? You can as well stay here and get your treatment. Because then I read in the news about one of the politicians asking doctors to come back to Nigeria. If you want doctors, nurses, and health practitioners to come back, then you can as well, get your necessary treatment here in Nigeria. That I agree with. But holistically, we are the problems, including you that traveled. What did you do differently when you were here? We see regular Nigerians littering the roads. We see regular Nigerians taking bribes, even in office settings. What is your conduct? What is your how do you relate with people? What is your it's very holistic, to be honest. But I would say that the problem starts with us, because every governing official was a citizen and rose up the ranks and started to make decisions. If you get there, what change would you make? And it starts in our offices, at home, in your church. What are the basic decisions that you make? Do you make life difficult for your neighbor? Do you just want to laud yourself just because you're in a position of authority and you think you can take advantage of people? So I think the problem realistically starts with us. Yes. And the moment we start to be accountable, you take responsibility for your actions, the better for every average Nigerian. So even if you travel, it's still the same thing. What you would take your bad habit, literally, and just
you're making points, that are challenging Nigerians right now and making us uncomfortable in our seats, which is why I'm going to ask you, what are you doing differently?
Okay, so in my tiny space, in my little bubble, that's a very tricky question. So thank you very much. Let me think about it.
Do you want to go to Adeyemi?
I want to go to Adeyemi. Okay. Adeyemi, we say often that the grass is not necessarily greener on the other side. And we hear of stories of Nigerians who are washing corpses, professionals who are working as janitors or waiters in restaurants. And why, does this category of professions or jobs, why is it a better resort to Nigerians than the white and blue collar jobs that they had back home before they jackpot or migrated?
Okay, first off, I think it's important for us to note that what JJ said earlier is crucial. If we want to move Nigeria forward, and I think that is what this roundtable is about, we should just quit the blame game on anybody and look inward on ourselves, from government to the citizens. When I say government, I mean from leadership to followership. We need to look inward. Forget about neocolonialism and all of that. It has a space, but it is not the reason for the current emigration you're seeing, the mass emigration you've been seeing in the last 5 to 10 years. Look, take it or leave it, the advent of social media in our lives is a contributory factor. Things that people don't get to see and know about 15 years ago, 20 years ago, with the touch of a button, they can see it. Yeah? I have people who applied for jobs, professionals in Nigeria who applied for jobs from Lagos, from Port Harcourt, from Kaduna, and they got jobs abroad. And they were asked to go process their visa and come over to work professionally. Yeah? So if they can sit in the confines of their homes in Lagos or Kaduna, wherever it is, and they can, with a touch of a button, see these jobs abroad. I'm talking professional jobs now, especially in the medical field, right? And they compare and contrast, and they see that the same output they are giving in Nigeria will be better rewarded abroad. They don't need a white person or whatever the color is to come tell them about it. We are in the age of social media. Everything happens on the cyberspace. People can get information without even seeking for it, right? So that is a factor, not neocolonialism. I beg to differ. Now, coming to the issue of the pasture, how greener it is or not. Truth is, it is indeed greener. It all depends on why you left. The problem we're kind of having now is we have people leaving for no reason, right? Somebody said earlier, I don't know who said it, that, people just leave because they see other people leaving. Yeah, that is where we have a problem. But if you have a purpose, maybe you want to go further your education. It could be your PhD, it could be your master's or whatever. Yeah, if you want to go do those things, there's a very, very good chance that you will prosper, you will do well. And I need to say this, the only problem that people get to, feel here that is not being talked about is the mental transition for those who have chosen to stay abroad, whether you're in Europe, Canada, or in the United States. There's a mental transition, and it takes anything between 3 to 4 years for you to transit mentally, to settle down mentally and emotionally, especially if you're probably from the middle class up. If you're doing relatively well in Nigeria, or you're relatively okay in Nigeria, and you probably left because you are under-remunerated, or you just have a general negative environment, and you have your personal issues that is moving you. It could be your health, it could be your business, it could be anything. Now, if you get to your destination, the mental transition stage is what I believe you're referring to, where some people have to hit they have to start from ground zero, they have to hit rock bottom and start afresh. At that level, whatever job you can get to do, yes, you have to do, because abroad we say that you are one paycheck away from homelessness. You can't afford not to have a job. Even whoever it is that is housing you when you arrive can only do that for a period of time, all right? So you need to get your acts together. There's no free meal abroad. Like they say, there's no free meal in Freetown. Here, you don't work, you don't leave. We say generally here that back in Africa, we leave so we can work. But when you go abroad, you work so you can leave. The moment you stop working, you die. That is the way it is. Now, that is not to say, it's a labor camp or whatever. Yes, there are people without professional qualification who work in the blue collar, or the brown collar, echelon. Yes, those people exist. But I would say this, a lot of Nigerians are one of the most educated immigrant society or immigrant community in the United States. I think the only community that is at par or higher than Nigeria in that regard will probably be the Indian community. So Nigerians too, when they come out here, there's this push like you want to use the opportunity here to, get better education and struggle to get into that upper white collar class kind of job. So that is the point really. Right. It's greener, if you have a purpose. Okay. But it's not going to happen immediately. All right. You have to work it up. And that is something that a lot of Nigerians were not used to. We think we just hit the ground, we start making money, we start sending back. No, it's a transitional period.
Very important point to make there, Adeyemi. And just quickly, before I come to Aliyu in our Abuja studio, I want to ask both of you, JJ and Adeyemi, just quickly, because I heard Adeyemi saying he traveled, part of the reasons he traveled or relocated was to get a reorientation, to relocate his mental state. If I got that correctly. I'd like to ask you, Adeyemi, do you someday plan to Japa, as they say, come back to Nigeria?
I'll be in Nigeria this year. I'll be in Nigeria this year.
Okay, is it in and out or coming back permanently?
So yeah, I honestly, I have the plans to come back. Look, okay. Fantastic question.
Wait. Adeyemi, so because
let me just answer that question.
Okay, you can quickly, if you can do that in 10 seconds.
Okay, what I just wanted to say, I would want to come back.
Okay.
And the reason I would want to come back is the reason a lot of Nigerian professionals will come back.
Right.
All we need to see is a working society, a working government, working environment. Nobody needs to preach to anybody. We will all come back.
Okay, JJ, quickly, are you coming back? Do you plan to? Because you said you wanted to relocate your mindset.
Yeah, okay, first of all, I like to train my children in Nigeria, no doubt. But then ultimately, if I have to come back to Nigeria, that will be when our politicians stop traveling abroad to get common health care.
Fantastic point you made there, JJ. So let's take it to Aliyu. Aliyu is a politician, he's a young person. It's everything packed together. He's also the assistant to the president. Aliyu, they've said that the grass is greener on the other side. Do we have plans to make our own grass
as green as
possible? And is there any promise from this government? Is there a time frame to when you can boldly say, young Nigerians or people who want to relocate, at this certain time, there will be no need to relocate anymore? Does the Tinubu government have that in mind? I know we're winding down. This is just the first episode of our Japa series, but let's speak to that as we wind down, Aliyu.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, the entire story of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is that of a child who Japa'd, acquired the best of what out there has got to offer, and he's been back home, not just back home to build on what is globally acceptable, fight for what is globally acceptable, persecuted by those who were against it. I mean, I'm talking about democracy, and he's risen through the ranks, and he's now #1 citizen of the country, and by every standard, the most, they're about the closest to a perfect model for democracy globally as it is in terms of leadership. And everything, he knows what these challenges are. That's why many of us who understand this stand with him and are always with him and understand his vision. And every plan he's had is about human capital development. There is no one in the record of our 24 years of democracy who has a better record. There's no one who has better plan. There's no one who has better vision. And he's in position now, and rightly, as a sign of hope to those who are out there. It's when they say they want a working country, what working country means, it's actually laws, enabling laws, enabling framework, enabling environment for a society to thrive, and the elite in this case will have to take it up from there and decide if I was saying something, and I think my brothers out there got me wrong. I would never for any reason try to blame or judge anyone who leaves. Everyone desires a place to thrive, and if you don't have that, if you can't make thriving out of the challenges you have, then you're going to have to go to where you can be better, so that they can come back and add value. Like the president we have now, he's back adding value, and I expect all of them will be back at the right time adding value, but we have to build it. But what I need to quickly make us understand on the part of this government is the loss has been made so far, the steps being taken so far, we can tell are the right ones to create an environment, but we all have to join the government. It is not a responsibility for the government alone, like the presenter.
All right, Aliyu, so this is what we'll do. I know there's a lot to talk about. We're barely scratching the surface, and we appreciate that. So we'll have a part 2 of this in the coming days, because there's so much to unpack. So essentially scratching the surface. We'll raise the issues in the coming days, but we'd like to thank you so much. Some will say you're even saying the president's story lends credence to Japa to Japa. But Aliyu Aldu, Special Assistant to the President on Public Affairs, we'd like to thank you so much. We'll have this conversation in the coming days, and we'll hope to see you as well. Adeyemi Adeoye, Energy Affairs Analyst, joining us from the U.S. Thank you for staying up. We know that, it's quite tough. As well as JJ, the Jokola Okonkwo, media healthcare professional, tech bro, and Japa consultant, joining us from Canada. Thank you. As well as Temitope Tankweaji, actor, producer, host, indifferent about Japa.
Somewhere in between all of that.
Thank you so much for your time. We'll have this conversation again. I would hope to have you soon. Well, let's head over to the nation's capital, Abuja now. Yes, a lot of people are commuting this morning. And we have our correspondent, Victoria Longjohn, who's joining us live from the Edo train station. Victoria, what's going on there? I see a train just right behind you. Did he just get there? Is it about to leave? Fill us in on what's going on there, Victoria.
I hope this train does not want to leave now.
We hope so too.
Thank you, Kayode. Right now, we're live at the boarding area of the Edo train station here in Abuja. It's important to note that the Edo train station is just 30 kilometers from the city center. It's a slow Monday morning here. One would expect that after the holidays, it will be packed full, but that's not the case. If you can just pan beside me, this is the train that's supposed to take passengers from Abuja at 9:45 a.m. this morning. We're told by the operations manager here that Mondays are not peak days at this train station. They have more patronage on Thursdays and Fridays. But we're here with one of the operations manager, Mr. Abdulaziz Mohammed. He's going to give us more information as to what the situation will be for the rest of the day. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So the free train rides by the federal government elapsed yesterday, January 7th. Today's January 8th. And before now, there's been a lot of complaints as to the availability of tickets online. Passengers have complained about not being able to access the website to get tickets. There are also complaints about unscrupulous persons getting their hands on these supposedly free tickets and selling them for a fee. How do you react to that?
Well, to the best of my knowledge, the ticket has been made free by the federal government for the period of 2 weeks before added another 3 extra days. Within the period, I believe a lot of passengers being free, a lot of people will go into the website to see that they can obtain the ticket. You know, when something is free, a lot of persons will try to get it. And you know, there will be a problem on the web. So that alone will bring a jam packed, but many people will get it, and that is how we were able to manage the situation all through. Everything has been working fine before now, so we don't have any case on that particular issue. It might be a network problem, but what we do know is that those passengers we boarded actually came with their ticket. You know, when it becomes free, the numbers of persons going for the free will be more than the normal passengers that were actually coming for the thing. It's a network, yes.
All right, thank you, sir. But before we leave, we'd just like to quickly inform the public on the train schedule from this Edo train station. The first train will leave from Abuja to Kaduna at 9:45 a.m. There's also another train we're expecting from Kaduna, which has already left the Rigasa train station by 8 a.m. For the afternoon schedule, we have the first train leaving here from 1:30 p.m. and another leaving Kaduna by 3 p.m.
Yes,
All right.
indeed. Thank you
very much, Victoria. Of course, our correspondent, Darido, is also live at the Falamo 5-Cowrie Ferry Terminal, essentially giving you... Dari, what's going on there? We have just 30 seconds before we wrap up, Dari.
Here. People were coming in from different locations. From what we gathered, Ikorodu, Bagada, people are going as far as Badagry. Of course, I've actually used this service before as well, and I moved from this particular location to Badagry. Ordinarily, if you're doing that particular trip by road, you'll be doing way above 1 hour, but the entire journey took us less than an hour, and it was a very smooth sail, a smooth ride to that place. Since you said we're already running out of time, but let me quickly have a word with the MD of Black Ferry, who is actually in charge of the service here. He's been talking to us about how the whole service runs. Good morning. We are running out of time, but very quickly, can you tell us what's been happening here? Today's Monday. There's been a lot of movement as well. So how does this operate? How does this run?
Thank you so much. Good morning, viewers. On the waterways of Lagos State, we are covering about 24 routes, that is Lagos State Ferry Services. This morning from Ikorodu, Igbogoba, Ikoyi, Jeddah, Ibeshi, and Majidun, we have a couple of people that were disembarked at 5 Cowrie Terminal here at Falomo, Ikoyi. And all the way from Badore in Ajayi, just a local government, we have seen some people coming to VI, Lekki, Ikoyi here, CMS Marina, Ebutero, and Liverpool Apapa. And also people are from this place, they have boarded boats that goes to Badagry and Maitu this morning. So all across Lagos State, you know, 1/3 of Lagos is actually covered by water. And the Lagos State government, under the leadership of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, is actually harnessing the potentials of the waterway.
Also, but from all of us here, what would you like to say? See you tomorrow. Goodbye.
Goodbye.